Is it just me, or does Sam seem a little bit softer? Here's your spooky spot on the Funko Pop Movies Trick or Treat number 1036, the Spirit Halloween exclusive Sam Flocked Edition. From the cult hit Trick or Treat comes Sam, the mischievous spirit of Halloween who enforces the holiday ancient traditions. First, wear a costume. Second, hand out treats. Third, never blow out a jack-o'-lantern. And 4, always check your candy. To the untrained eye, Sam looks like the other trick-or-treaters, but what lurks underneath the burlap sack and orange-footed pajamas is anything but sweets. While Sam is there feeling all felty, let's go ahead and grab the tape measure and see how tall this Funko Pop exclusive stands. It isn't lost on me, of course, the fact that this is going to be just an exclusive, more for the fact that it's actually been flocked. And I'm guessing it's probably just using the regular standard Sam body that we did get from before. But still, though, I did find this one as an exclusive over at Spirit Halloween. I went to their store just recently, in fact, and really wasn't planning to pick up anything until I saw this one sitting on the shelf. Of course, temptation got the better of me, and here we are right now. The figure, though, of Sam stands about 3.5 inches in height, or it's going to be about 9 centimeters tall. I keep saying I'm not going to be getting any more Funko Pops, and yet here we are again. Sliding over, though, the Sam that actually has the flocked onesie, and bringing in the earlier looked at exclusive Sam, which was also an exclusive The Spirit Halloween. This, though, was the deluxe edition, of course, of Sam that had him more sitting down with his sack and jack-o'-lantern. Still a piece that I love to put out every single year. If comparing, though, the two, you can see the flocking now added to the onesie pajama does brighten up things quite a lot more. And while it doesn't seem he has as many of the details showing here on his burlap sack, I guess again the draw of this is the fact that it's got a flocking to it, something that none of the Sams can say they've had before. Now, while I may dispute maybe that the price was a little tad too high when it came to Sam, the flocked version of him was actually $18.99 here Canadian at my local Spirit Halloween store. Had I ordered him online, I would have even paid even more for the shipping. So I'm actually glad, if anything, I found him locally. Picking, though, up the Sam and getting a closer look at him, I don't believe I actually have the original Funko Pop Sam, but I'm looking only by memory alone and assuming that this is probably using the exact same body. Of course, the head is going to be the exact same. The body, I'm guessing, would also be the same, and he's also carrying around the same thing, the little Holly-Ho chocolate bar. There seems to be a blade. I'm going to not do my best to get too close to it because I don't want to be cutting myself either. So at least he's got that. He doesn't have the lollipop, so he's got the Holly-Ho, and I can't imagine that would be something else that's exclusive to this figure. In a way, I sort of feel like they should have done a little bit more to this than just simply adding flocking alone. By maybe even ripping away part of his face, for example, or even having an unmasked portrait would have been one way also making this guy exclusive. But the thing about this is just the fact it's got some flocking to it. While the face looks to be remaining the same, and it's nicely painted for what it is, you got the buttons now nicely painted there in circular black. You've got the little stitching there in the middle there as well. One thing it does lack a little bit by also bringing back in the original Sam that was the exclusive, I think, from last year. You can see, like, I think they've done a much better job of painting the burlap. And while, you know, for a Funko Pop, they're a little bit more stylized, the burlap end of things, at least, you can see a little more of the threading being visible. This one seems a little bit more washed out. It seems a little bit more faded. It certainly doesn't have the depth and contrast that the other one had. Still, it has a rotation in the head, so that nothing in that way does actually change. The threading, though, the flocking, though, you can see, like, the shoulders are, though, really close to the head. This is one thing that's got me a little bit concerned. Over time, anyways, natural flocking will just start to fall off a figure. So eventually, as I have this figure on my shelf over the years, I may start to notice things that start to wear away, like the flocking may start disappearing on elbows, for example. Anything that usually has a joint, for example, tends to be always the areas that kind of start to wear away first. The thing, though, I'm really concerned about is the fact that the shoulders are so close to the head that moving this back and forth as I'm doing it right now, knowing well and good that I'm actually probably doing damage to it, I would imagine that that would start to probably shred away some of the flocking that they've actually done to the body. Now, flocking, what it is generally in the case, and I don't think they've actually changed the process, usually, though, you run an electrical current to something, so it basically adheres an electrical static charge, and then they basically shoot things at it, the flocking. The flocking then sticks to the surface of the plastic, and that basically arrives us with what we get right here for Sam. The flocking does add more to the touch, something a little bit different. I mean, obviously his body looks to be exactly the same. We've already looked at the fact he does have the little holly-ho candy bar. He still has the fingerless gloves. Everybody was wearing fingerless gloves, even on Halloween. But I don't think anything is really necessarily different about it. It's kind of more texturally different. It is obviously a little bit brighter as well. And I will say, admittingly, I mean, while I could say finding fault for the fact that it's only solely just an exclusive by the flocking alone, I do actually like the idea that it does have flocking. The only thing about it, though, is I don't know the longevity of it. I'm sure over time it will start to degrade in all the areas already mentioned, like the elbows and anything that's on a joint. He does have some additional details. At least they painted the back of the buttons, so it doesn't feel like necessarily just literally threw flocking at this and then just sort of left it as it is. There's definitely a rhyme and a reason for where they had to put it. So I liked, again, like they put little buttons there. They painted, of course, or they flocked at least the little end of his footed pajamas. And while everything is really then flocked, the only thing that isn't actually flocked on the bottom of Sam's feet. So, of course, when it comes to him standing, you're not going to have as many issues of the actual figure standing because the flocking's not kind of getting in the way of things. You know, all in all, for what it is, I mean, again, it's very limited when it comes to the articulation, but that kind of goes without saying when it comes to these Funko Pops anyways, just to bring back in the original Sam. I will say, though, from a flock standpoint, yes, it's great. You get an exclusive because it's got some furry-footed pajamas on it. But I kind of actually still like this one just a little bit more. I like the darker colors that they've used for his footed pajamas. I actually like the coloring that they've used better for the burlap sack, for example. And maybe now in hindsight, I didn't need to necessarily drop the $18.99. Thank goodness, at least I had myself a 20% off coupon. I think if it wasn't for the fact I had a 20% off coupon that was burning a hole in my pocket, that's what old people like to say. It was burning a hole in my pocket. But if it wasn't for that necessarily, I may have not necessarily even picked up the flocked Sam. More, again, temptation than anything else. Realizing as well, I probably should have even brought in one of the bus kids was also an exclusive, I think, last year. Maybe she was the one that was an exclusive last year. The deluxe Sam was maybe like even the year before that, but it always seems to be the case. Like Spirit Halloween always gets those exclusive Funko Pops, and I always keep saying to myself, I'm never going to get any more Funko Pops. Promise this time around, this year, I'm not going to be doing it. And then sure enough, I go to a Spirit Halloween and they have that little temptation sticker. Let's just bring back in the box right here where it says right there, Spirit Halloween exclusive. And of course it does say flocked. Between those two and the fact that I already love Trick or Treat, more than enough temptation, I think, to pick up it. For $18.99, I think it's still a little bit steep for really what you're getting. I can't really even recall what the deluxe version of Sam was going for. He's probably well into the 20s. But I think maybe for casual collectors, I would not say pick this one up necessarily. But if you are one like me that always gets roped in, reeling in another sucker, if you are one that like me, always likes to get the exclusive of these things when you see them at Spirit Halloween stores, I think it's an interesting pickup. Probably just not worth, though, the $18.99 that he was going for, though. What I did, though, find strange about Sam was he wasn't in the same area where their normal exclusive Funko Pops would be. Those Funko Pops are usually kept relegated to those impulse items. What they deliberately do is they sort of give a zigzag line that you have to stand in before you get to the cash registers. And within that line, of course, there's all the shelving around you, the temptation of getting extra keychains, pens, and blind bags, all those things that you didn't necessarily think you needed when you went first into a Spirit Halloween store. But now that you're standing there for an extra couple of minutes, you kind of look around and say, well, you know what? I didn't really necessarily need a Michael Myers keychain, but it's there anyways. I might as well just grab it. No, Sam actually wasn't there. There were some Funko Pops, but it wasn't until actually my daughter called me over to look at something else that I noticed that Sam was on the outside of the impulse items. Strange, really, the fact that they would have had him out on the outside, because I would have thought, if being an impulse item, people would probably have wanted to spot this guy before they hit the register. But he was sort of buried away, and there was about 3 or 4 of them. So I don't know whether he's still actually in stock. I mean, again, I'm only basing it from the Spirit Halloween store that I have in my area. If you guys are interested, though, it's always the case when it comes to these Spirit Halloweens. The closer you get, of course, to Halloween, the less likely there is going to be of stock of these things. So if you guys are interested, like, for example, to get the exclusives, whether this guy will be carried over to the following year, because, of course, one of the I can't remember the kid's name, the clown girl from the Bus Ride Kid, the exclusive from Trick or Treat last year, was also still stocked this year on the shelf. So maybe flocked Sam will still be available as of next year, but of course time will only tell. If you guys, again, are interested to get this one, here in Canada at least, he was going for $18.99. It's a bit high. It's a bit high. I would have probably said $15 at most. But again, with the 20% off coupon, that's another thing that they always rope you in as well with. You kind of can look at things and think to yourself, well, I'm not going to really pay the price that they're selling it for, but considering I have myself a 20% off coupon, I would be a fool not to buy that. And that ended up happening with the sucker behind the camera. Have you, by the way, been collecting any of the Spirit Halloween Funko exclusives? Let me know if you have down below in the comments section. Also, as well, if you guys enjoyed this video, hit it with a like. If you guys are loving the content you guys are seeing, and you certainly still want to stick around for more spooky related videos, hey, we got a lot more coming your way. You don't know, but I know. I'm in the know. Charlie the Ghost is also in the know. What? Yeah, I did mention your name. Charlie the Ghost is also in the know that we have a whole stack of stuff still to get through the rest of Spottober. So make sure, of course, you're keeping your ghoulish peepers peeled to this channel. Of course, as always, guys, thanks for watching. See you guys next time.